the chief official White House photographer for Presidents Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama. He had top security clearance and full access to the leaders of the free world.
Souza has a new book out now. It's called Shade, A Tale of Two Presidents, in which he juxtaposes images from the past administration with the current one. Pete Souza, welcome to Live at 4. Nice to see you.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
So shade, for those who may not be familiar, is sort of a way of criticizing someone. Why are you throwing shade at the president?
Well, as you mentioned, I worked for both President Obama and President Reagan, and both of them respected the office of the presidency and respected other people. And I don't feel the current president does that. And I thought that I had a unique voice on Instagram to point this out, and now I've turned it into a book.
So that's where it started on your Instagram post. You started a private Instagram after you left the Obama administration.
Right, and I kind of started doing the throwing shade probably the first week after the inauguration.
So what you do is you take a tweet from Donald Trump, and then you juxtapose it with an image from President Obama.
With a snarky comment.
With a snarky?
Or a humorous comment.
Like, for instance, the first one in the book is about the president claiming that his audience for the inauguration was the biggest ever, right?
Right.
And then you show this picture of the Obama inauguration.
Which was
the biggest ever.
Really the biggest crowd ever at an inauguration.
Once you started digging into this, were you surprised how easy it was to juxtapose?
It was pretty easy. I would just have to either look at his tweets every day or news stories in the Washington Post and New York Times, which is where I gathered most of my material from.
But White House photographers traditionally are not household names. They are sort of more in the background and recorders of history. So why did you decide to really kind of be as high profile as you're being?
Well, I think it really started during the administration, because we became the administration that happened to be there when social media exploded. So the administration took my photographs and posted them on Flickr and Instagram, and because of that, a lot of my pictures became known, even though maybe people didn't know who I was specifically. But then I felt that it was my civic duty to speak out after Trump was elected, just the way he disrespects the office, and I didn't feel I could not speak out.
What was it like photographing the Obamas? They seemed very open and very warm to each other?
I mean, one of the things that was helpful to me is that I actually knew him for 4 years before he became president, and I had developed a professional relationship with him when I was working for the Chicago Tribune.
When he was running for Senate.
So
right?
that he sort of knew how I worked, and he knew a little bit about me, and that made it easy to make sure that I had access to pretty much everything that he did as president.
That's a famous picture right there.
That was during the Bin Laden raid, in the Situation Room, watching and that's a picture of him with his girls in the snow, and for the moment of silence for the Boston Marathon.
This, as a photographer, it seems like it would be the greatest job in the world. How did you get this job? Just because when you knew him, when he was running, he asked you to do it?
I had met him when I was working for the Chicago Tribune, and spent so much time with him those first 2 years in the Senate especially, that he sort of got to know me, as I said, and I think we developed a pretty good working professional relationship. And then when he was elected president, asked me to become his photographer.
And they let you run free reign?
Pretty much free reign, yeah.
Well, what if President Trump asked you to do this? I mean, is there an argument to be made that maybe you don't know him because you don't have the inside access that you had before? Do you think that would make a difference in the way you perceive him?
I don't think so.
Would you entertain that if he offered it to you?
Maybe I would have entertained it, before he was elected. I don't know, but I mean, I think he's shown what kind of a person he is, and I don't know that I could work for a person like that.
Do you have a favorite picture?
I always tell people it's the one I take tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. There's a picture, I don't even think it's in this book, and it's in my last book, where the little 5-year-old African-American kid is touching his head because his haircut looked like President's.
Yeah, that was spectacular.
That was an iconic photo, yeah.
Well, it's fascinating. It's spectacular pictures. No matter what your political stripe is, they're great photographs.
Thank you.
And you have a book signing tonight at the Mystery to Me bookstore on Monroe Street. It starts at 6 o'clock. Tickets are still available for that. So come out and get your book signed by Pete. Shade, The Tale of Two Presidents.
Congratulations on the book, Pete. This is your second book, right?
Second book.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, great to
Good
see you. Thanks for coming tonight.
We'll be right